Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil A. Colonna, and this is Nashville. If you are of a certain age, like me, you may remember seeing roller derby on television, and it looked something like pro wrestling on skates. But that's all in the past. In the early 2000s, roller derby resurfaced as a real sport with rules, scoring, protective gear, and a lot of heart. And we have our own circuit of derby players right here in Nashville. And the sport is more than bone-crushing hits, cool player names, and whips. Whips? Roller derby is about testing your limits and building bonds. Think of it as a testament to overcoming obstacles. To find out what roller derby is really like and to see the next generation in action, we got in the learning mindset with Nashville's Junior League. Our producer, Magnolia McKay, went to Cone High School to see the Nash Villains scrimmage up close, starting with gearing up before practice.
I'm Ivy, or Poison Ivy. I've been playing for almost 7 years.
Poison Ivy is 15 years old, so 7 years is basically half her life. She's got this part of the routine down.
Right now I'm putting on my skates. And then goes my knee pads. Some people put their knee pads on first, depending on what kind they have. Then my elbow pads. Then my wrist guards. Then my helmet. And then my mouth guard.
Now she's ready for practice. We head into the gym. Spanning between the basketball hoops at either end, there's an oval track marked out in red tape on the floor. It looks kind of like a roller rink. After some drills, it's time to scrimmage. The kids split up into two teams. There's one star player for each, literally labeled with a star on their helmets. They're called the Jammers. They're the ones to watch. The Jammers score the points. They have to break through the pack of blockers and score points by lapping the other team's skaters. It seems pretty chaotic. Honestly, it looks kind of like football. They start in a lineup and the Jammer has to break through it, pushing with sides and hips. Once the Jammers break through, the race is off. They start skating around the track to pass. About 30 minutes in, skater number 666, a 15-year-old who goes by the name Little Devil, does something pretty remarkable. This move is what's called an apex.
I don't know what an apex is.
On the corner here, a lot of times rather than going through the pack, they'll jump the apex of the corner. It's usually pretty legit.
So basically, Little Devil has just cut the corner in front of a handful of skaters by jumping through the air. But along with these high highs come some tougher moments. At the very end of the scrimmage, a skater named Kick-Ass falls, and then another skater lands on top of her. Immediately, the whole team takes a knee. The executive director of the team, who goes by Queen Mother, says they all come together in moments like these.
Yeah, everybody takes a knee, and then there's usually also a round of applause as soon as the person stands up. Yeah.
Cassidy Everhart is the skater who got up, and as you just heard, when she's on the track for Nashville's Junior Derby, she's known as Kick-Ass. Cass, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, pleasure. So first off, how's your ankle?
My ankle is great. Thank you so much for asking. It was a rough fall, but it recovered great.
You're pulling Patrick Mahomes on everybody. Nice. Tell me, do injuries like that happen often?
Yes, they do. It is a part of Derby as it's fast-paced and full contact. Mm-hmm. But normally, everybody's okay. It's why we have rules.
It's good to have rules.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, how did you choose that name, Kick-Ass?
My mom and I were bouncing off of ideas in the car when I first joined the league. I joined the league not really knowing what a derby name was. And then I joined and everybody was like, what's your derby name? What's your derby name? And I had no idea. So we researched it and there really wasn't, I had a lot of different options, but Kick-Ass just really felt right.
It fits. Mm-hmm. So tell me, how did you discover roller derby?
I discovered derby when I was younger. My cousin played, my older cousin. She was living with us at the time. And I also really loved the movie Whip It, starring Elliot Page. I loved it. And it was just, I was new to the city when I first found out about the team that we have here. And it was after COVID and I was like really nervous, but I joined and it was just, everybody was so welcoming and I just fell in love with the sport.
So how long exactly have you been playing?
I've been playing for around 8 months, give or take.
8 months?
Yes.
Okay, now, would you call yourself a super athletic person?
No, not at all.
But you've been at it for 8 months.
I have.
So it seems like you're athletic now.
As I said earlier, I fell in love with the sport and my teammates. And when I was younger, I bounced around from sport to sport. And I tried all sorts of things: soccer, lacrosse, basketball, volleyball, all of that. And none of it just ever really stuck. I just never really felt like I was part of it. And I was fine at the sports. It just didn't feel right for me. And which is why one of the reasons that I was so hesitant about joining derby was because it seemed like something that I would just love. But I was just, the community aspect of it, I was like, I don't really know if that's going to work. But I joined and it was just, the community is one of the parts of it that I love so much about it. It's just everybody gets along so well and everybody's so sweet and kind. And I fell in love with it. So I'm curious,
what's training like? Are there certain benchmarks you have to hit before you're allowed to actually play?
Yeah, there are. If you join as a newer skater, one of the first things we teach you is how to fall and all that sort of thing. You learn how to skate. If you don't know all of that, you have protective gear. It's great. There are 3 levels. There's level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 is no contact. So you start as a newbie and then you level up to level 1 after you learn the basics of how to skate and that sort of thing. And then it's no contact. And then once you master all of your skills, basic skills of skating and that sort of thing and stopping, you level up to level 2. You pass a written test and you do laps around the track in a certain number of time.
Okay.
So once you pass that and you pass your written test, you go on to level 2. And level 2, you start getting some contact. You start seeing some contact. You're not allowed to hit in level 2, but you're allowed to push and shove and be aggressive. You just can't hit people. And then after you level up from level 2, you go to level 3, which I'm a level 3, and then you can start hitting people. Full contact. You can start ramming into people. You don't have to slow down as much. It's very much more fast paced, and it's you're just flying around the track and zooming through, and you get a lot of points. It's a lot of fun.
Is hitting people the fun part of the game?
It's one of them. It's one of them, for sure.
They say it takes a village to field a roller derby team. My next guest is one of those villagers. Brian Dismore is a parent of a junior roller derby skater and sits on the Nashville Junior Roller Derby Board of Directors. Brian, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And so your daughter plays for NJRD. What's her derby name?
Qzilla.
Qzilla. Ooh, I like that. How did she end up joining the junior derby team?
Well, she skated for, I bet you she was 4 or 5, and we just did the typical roller rink. We go on Saturdays or sometimes Sundays, and it was something for us to do. I grew up roller skating and thought it would be fun, and she kind of connected the same way I did. Loved the feeling of motion, being on skates, and she was doing that and had a totally separate friend group at the rink, and actually, I tripped into it. I was at an event and bumped into one of the adult skaters, and she had her jersey on. And my wife and I, before my daughter was born, had been to a couple of their adult matches, and it was a hoot back at the old fairgrounds where that's where their home was, and it was so much fun. So we struck up a conversation, and I let her know my daughter skated, and she said, "Oh, she should try out for the juniors team." I said, "Excuse me, there's a juniors team?" Yeah. So she said, "Yeah, they practice at Tuesdays and Thursdays at the fairgrounds." So I think that was a Thursday night or a Friday night, and that Tuesday. The following Tuesday, my wife and my daughter and I watched practice. She signed up on Thursday and started skating with them. It was meant to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's it like for you as a parent to see your child flying around the track and getting knocked down?
Well, I don't know if I focus as much on her getting knocked down as I do just the joy that she has playing the sport. It's like anything else with contact. You're going to get bumps. You're going to get bruised. You're going to get knocked down. Now, I played football. I fell on grass. She falls on concrete. So there is a little bit of a difference there. But we learned in the beginning, bumps and bruises, sprains here and there. It's part of it. So I'm just not the parent that worries about that. I find more joy of her interaction with her teammates and even the teams they compete against, the camaraderie that they have. I know that for me it far outweighs anything else.
Now, in the world of youth sports, some parents drop their kids off for practices and games, then show up when everything is over. But I understand that roller derby isn't quite like that, right?
No, it's not. We thought, hey, great, Tuesday, we have date night. We'll drop Quincy off. Her name's Quincy. She goes by Qzilla. We'll drop her off for practice. We'll pick her up in 2 hours. And that's not a thing. It's not a thing. It was a 100% parent involvement. The parents that know so much more than me, I'm striving to be more like them. They set up the track. They set up practice. We tear down the track. We do everything. So it is not a drop and leave. We really love a drop and stay. Yeah, and we'd like to be there for our skaters.
How is that different from other youth sports where the parent involvement isn't quite as heavy?
Well, I mean, this is the only sport that Qzilla has ever done. I mean, but really across the board, most of our skaters have tried other things and they've just gravitated towards derby. But when I played Little League Baseball, and I got dropped off at practice, and games were coached by maybe somebody's dad or something like that decided to be involved. But it was always an organization or something like that, the governing body, where here we kind of do it all. We clean the floors. So whatever it needs to be done, you got a parent there that's going to be doing it. So
what are the benefits of being so involved as a parent?
Well, honestly, in the beginning, I thought it was going to be weird. I didn't want to make Quincy uncomfortable, like being that dad that was there, because I'm pretty loud. I like to coach it, to cheer them on, if you will.
Yeah.
But the benefits are, well, I kind of said earlier, is just the joy of watching them compete, watching them practice. And I fell in love with it. I mean, I love skating, but this culture, I had no idea. It is unlike the inclusiveness of it. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. And so it was a little intimidating for me at the beginning, because it does. You go to your first practice, your first match, it is so hard to understand what's going on. And you can read the rules, but until that you have watched it a number of times, you don't understand it. So it's been humbling and very fulfilling for me to learn the sport, learn the community. I mean, we connect with derby teams all over the country. Your local Little League doesn't do that. I mean, we connect everywhere, and people are so supportive. So I get a lot of joy out of just being a parent involved. And I'm trying to do more now, and trying to learn how to officiate, and trying to learn how to do the non-skating and some of the skating officiating. So I've kind of caught the derby bug too.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you hope players get from this experience of playing the game?
Well, gosh, there's so much. I mean, what do you want for your children? Gosh, there's so much. I think the feeling of being included, the feeling of including others, It's one thing to be included, but then to invite strangers in with open arms, that's a powerful thing to teach a young person or to have them teach themselves. Some competition, you know, you are going to get knocked down. There's no doubt about it. You are going to get bumps and bruises. And it's like I was talking to my wife, I think last night after practice, and she said one of the favorite things that she enjoys about watching Qzilla skate is when she gets knocked down, she pops right back up. And most of them do. If you're not hurt, they're usually back up before you even knew what happened. And so overcoming adversity, we've skated against some teams that were, better than us. And they won the match. And to see the skaters embrace that and then go and embrace the other team. So there's a lot. There's a lot.
That was Brian Dismore. He sits on the board of directors for Nashville Junior Roller Derby and is the proud father of skater Qzilla. Brian, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Roller derby skater Cassidy "Kick-Ass" Everhart will stick with us through the break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation about the local roller derby scene and meet some of the adult skaters of NRD. What do you love about roller derby? Tell us all about it by tweeting us at This Is Nashville. We'll be right back.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil A. Colonna, and this is Nashville. This hour, we are hitting the track and learning about the fastest game on 8 wheels. That's right. We're talking about roller derby, not the pro wrestling style version you may have seen on TV. We're talking scoring, gear, and yes, still plenty of big hits. Before the break, we checked out a practice for our city's junior roller derby team. Now let's meet some slightly older skaters. Lex Taravingadum is a skater and head of marketing for Nashville Roller Derby. She also helps coach the junior league team. Lex, welcome to This Is Nashville.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here.
Great to have you with us. So before we go any further, let people know, what is your derby name?
My derby name is Petty LaBelle.
Petty LaBelle. I like that. How'd you come up with that?
It was a petty move, actually. Somebody called me Petty. Something happened, and I said, you know what? I'm not just Petty. I'm Petty LaBelle, and I changed my derby name. I came to the next practice with that on my back. And I kept it.
Rest is history. I love it. So how long have you been into roller derby?
This is my 10th season in roller derby.
Wow. How'd you find the sport?
I found the sport back in 2005. A bunch of my friends started the original Philly Roller Girls, and I really wanted to play then, but I was in college and I didn't have time. And then 10 years later, I found myself here in Middle Tennessee, and Clarksville had a team, and I decided to join them.
You joined them. What was that experience like, joining them for the first time?
It was a lot of fun. At the time, I was a young mother. I didn't have friends or family here in the state, and I really needed an outlet. I needed something that was for me, and it gave me my identity back when I felt like I was, kind of losing a little at the time.
Now, earlier in the show, we heard a player go down pretty hard in a scrimmage. So, Petty, how physical is the game these days?
Oh, roller derby is considered the most full contact sport in the world right now. It has more physical contact than football. Like, we are constantly touching. You're touching other skaters. You're touching your teammates. So, yeah, it's a lot of contact.
And you're touching the ground, too.
Well, the goal is not to touch the ground, actually,
So Cassidy "Kick-Ass" Everhart is still with us, and she's from the Nashville Junior Roller Derby team. Thank you again for being with us. The 2009 movie Whip It, you mentioned it earlier,
I did.
One of your favorites. It really reintroduced the game to the nation, and it was directed by Drew Barrymore. It starred Elliot Page and an all-star cast. I feel like people still don't understand roller derby, so I'm hoping that both of you can explain in layperson's terms how the game is played. Okay, so Kick-Ass, let's start with you. How many players are on the track?
It depends, but there are normally 4 blockers from each team. So that adds up to 8, and then 2 jammers. So around 10.
Okay, so explain these positions for us, Petty. Blockers and jammers.
All right. So you have your jammers. Those are the ones that wear the star. They're the ones that score the points. A lot of people like to equate that to like a quarterback position in football. Then you have your blockers. They're both your defense and your offensive line. Your blockers are thinking about doing whatever they can to help their jammer score points by either stopping the other jammer or in some cases, stopping the other blockers and keeping them off. There's one special blocker. They wear a stripe on their head and they're called the pivot. And at points, they have an opportunity to become the jammer. So it's a special position, and that's why they have that stripe.
So how does a team score?
You score by your jammer passing blockers on the opposing team. The other jammer is also a point.
Okay. So every time the jammer passes a blocker from the opposing team, that's one collective point or point per jammer they pass?
It's 1 point per person on the other team that they pass.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how long, Kick-Ass, how long is about?
2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow. So the scoring period happens for 2 minutes. How long does a game go?
It can depend.
A game's an hour.
Yeah.
An hour?
Yeah, so a game is broken up into 2 30-minute halves.
And you have these 2-minute scoring intervals within each half?
Yes. Yeah, the scoring intervals are called jams.
Okay.
So the maximum amount of time a jam can go is 2 minutes long. At the beginning of the jam, you have 2 jammers start out. The whistle blows. The jammers try to get through both groups of blockers. All right. The first jammer that gets through, they get designated the lead jammer. And the lead jammer has the ability to call off the jam, to stop it before the full 2 minutes is up.
Okay.
So the lead jammer gets control of the game. And in that perspective, that's why a lot of people consider them like the quarterback of Derby. You know, if you get that lead jammer position, you control the action.
So a lead jammer can go out, score a few points, and before the other team has a chance to score something, they can just call it off.
Exactly.
Ooh. So it must be frustrating if you get someone who like scores 1 point and then calls it off constantly.
It could be, yeah, but I mean that's part of the strategy, right?
Okay. What about penalties? Like, you know, it's a full contact sport. What are you not allowed to hit people with? Kick-Ass.
You're not allowed to hit with your helmet. The contact zone, the legal contact zone, it's like no forearms. No forearms. So like in movies a lot of the time, like Whip It, you see people punching people and it looks very violent and that sort of thing. It has since been modernized. It is it is still full contact, fast paced and aggressive. It is not. There are rules in place to keep people safe.
Okay.
So no forearms. Anything below the knee is considered what we call a low block, and that is illegal. You will get a penalty for that. But you can shove people with your shoulders. You can get really low in there. You can hit them with your hips. No back blocks, which is basically you can't hit people like straight on their back.
Gotcha.
You got to like use your shoulders and like push them from the side, that sort of thing.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville, and I'm your host, Khalil Ekalona. We're talking this hour about roller derby with skaters Lex Tarvingadam and Cassidy Kick-Ass Everhart. So, you know, Kick-Ass, what do you and the other junior leaguers think of the adult team members?
Oh, we love the adult team.
What is it about them that you admire?
They help out a lot with us. We, as we were saying before, we're a very parent-focused organization, and they're so sweet. They come in and they coach us, and they're so strong and admirable. And like being able to, for me at least, being able to look at them do all these amazing tricks that they've learned through like their years of experience, and then them like taking the time to teach that to us is just like insane. And it's just, it really means a lot.
You know, it feels to me like there's this really strong sense of connection within the roller derby community. Petty, how do you as an adult player, how do you hope to influence and inspire the junior leaguers?
Oh, I mean, I just try to do my best to give them whatever wisdom I might have. But honestly, they inspire me. I mean, that's why I go and volunteer for the junior league. The juniors are amazing. And the amount of dedication that they've put into this sport from such an early age is such a great advantage. I mean, I always wish that, maybe I had a chance to start sooner.
Now, it looks like it's one of the most inclusive sports out there, besides like high impact dodgeball. The junior team is co-ed, and both squads feature people of many different identities. Why is having a wide berth of representation important to the game?
I think it's very important because it's a community, as I was saying earlier. And for me, I was also saying earlier that I never really felt like I fit in with community. And then I joined the team, and it was just like, it's crazy going to games like all around and just being able to like get along with all of these different people who are just so open-minded and accepting, like every single one. I don't think I've ever had like a bad interaction with another team or people on my own team. I think everybody's just really open-minded and kind, and we'll go to games and they'll be just so nice, and then we'll get on the track and it's like, oh my God, where did that nice go?
I get the game face on.
And then you get off the track and everybody's exchanging social media and hugging each other and being like, you played so well, like that sort of thing. And it's really nice being able to be a part of a community where people don't look at you like, wow, what is she doing? Because everybody's doing it. Like,
Petty, how does that resonate with you?
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's definitely the vibe that we have. Everybody can do it. Everybody is included in this. And I think it's important that when people see people of different types, people of different races, people of different ethnicities, genders doing it, then they're more likely to try it themselves. That's where like the representation really matters.
Kick-Ass, do you feel like you're making lifelong friends in this journey?
Oh, 100%. I have, as Brian was saying earlier, we travel everywhere. Like I've driven like 5 hours for a game before. It's super fun. We have one coming up that's like, it's a weekend tournament in Fort Walton, and it's going to be super fun. But we meet people from all around the U.S., all around, and I've kept in touch with so many junior skaters from all different leagues, and they're all so sweet and hilarious, and it's just a really welcoming whole group.
That is Cassidy Kick-Ass Everhart. She's with the Nashville Junior Roller Derby team. Kick-Ass, thanks for being here, and good luck this season.
Thank you so much for having me.
Lex Petty LaBelle Tarvingadam will hang out with us through the break. When we come back, we'll roll with the Adult League and learn more about how roller derby is growing in our city. Are you a roller derby fan? Join the conversation and tweet us at This Is Nashville. We'll be right back. I'm Khalil Ekalona, and this is Nashville. We are learning about the game of roller derby and how this unconventional sport is growing in popularity across the nation and here in Nashville. For that, I'd like to introduce my next guests. Ashley Obel is the athletics director for Nashville Roller Derby. She's joined by Alana Perkins, the president of Nashville Roller Derby. Ashley, Alana, thank you so much for being with us. Welcome to This Is Nashville.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
It's really great. Okay, so Ashley, what is your derby name and how did you get it?
So my derby name is A-Bomb, and kind of came up with it because my first name is Ashley and it just made sense.
Explosive.
Yes.
That's right. Alana, what's your name?
My name is Princess Di.
Princess Di. Ooh.
D-I-E.
How'd you come up with that?
My team actually named me.
Why?
Well, the first few choices were not acceptable. I absolutely was not going to put that on a jersey and wear it on my bag. But the third one came out. It was fine.
Because you're killing them out there on the track?
Absolutely.
I'm going to go with that. Okay. So Lex Petty LaBelle Taravingadum is still with us. Thank you again for joining us. So, Petty, I'd like to learn a little bit more about the history of roller derby. When did the sport get started here in the United States?
A-Bomb, do you know the exact year? I know it was early 2000s. I mean, we're talking about... Well, 2006 was the revival, but then if we want to talk about when it started, that was...
Well,
70s.
so the modern what a lot of people are familiar with is roller derby from the 1950s and 60s when it was televised. The sport we play was really brought back in 2001 by the Texas Roller Girls. And our governing body, the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, was established in 2004. So it's been several decades, and we could actually go all the way back to the 1930s when it was a little more of like a relay race style sport. But yeah, roller derby's been here and it's been growing.
Now, you mentioned something. You said flat track. From what I remember back in the day watching television, it was a banked track. What is the difference between the two?
Yeah, so what has made flat track roller derby so popular is really the accessibility of it. That bank track, it's very expensive. It takes a lot of manpower, a lot of space to set it up. Flat track derby, all you need is really a flat surface, some rope, some tape, and now you have a track.
Get going. So how has punk rock culture influenced roller derby?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when roller derby was first starting in 2001, it was really inspired by the kind of feminist punk rock DIY scene at the time. And I think that spirit has really kind of continued on. I mean, we practice outside in parking lots sometimes. We practice in basketball courts. We don't always have tape. We don't always have rope. We might just have cones. I've set up tracks with shoes before. You make it happen with what you got. And I think that's really been the spirit that's built up this community for so long.
Princess Di, is that punk rock vibe something that appealed to you?
Absolutely. As someone who sees themselves as a strong, independent woman who can obviously display little man syndrome at the best of times. Yes. Having that strong, hear me roar, seeing that in the clothing, in the attitudes, in the overall persona of the sport was very alluring for me.
How does that show itself when you all are away from the track?
When we're away from the track?
Yeah.
I don't think.
How does that experience really from roller derby show itself in life away from the track?
Oh, I'm punk rock all the time. I said I joke all the time. People say, "Oh, you dress like a derby girl all the time," and I say, "No, derby girls dress like me." I said I came from that rough and tumble street punk, era with the Philadelphia Roller Girls. It was my friends who started that team, and I still have that attitude years later.
Have you all ever had an experience of someone who necessarily maybe wasn't very, very confident when they found the sport and they joined the team, but their confidence through the experience of being on the team really exploded?
Absolutely. I've seen people come completely out of their shells.
Yeah.
I've seen librarians turn into this mega force of fearless, I will end you, and then come off of the track and they are back to being small, meek, and mild.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as they step over that rope, it's over.
What does that do when you're able to lose yourself in the game and become this, you're a nice, quiet librarian to becoming this fierce, intimidating warrior? How does that feel when you're on the track?
Oh, it's exhilarating. You become the person you always wanted to be. I think the sport's been really attractive for people who have not been athletic, who've not been confident, who are seeking out that community, who's seeking out that space. And this offers that opportunity for so many people to embody something that they always dreamed of and that they always wanted to be. And it inspires them to be the person that they look up to, right? They want to be that person, that awesome person that plays roller derby and everyone thinks is so cool, and they get to be that. And it really becomes part of them.
If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville, and I'm your host, Khalil Ekalona. We're talking this hour about the game of roller derby with skaters Ilana Princess Di Perkins, Ashley A-Bomb Obel, and Lex Petty LaBelle Taravingadum. Okay, so, Princess Di, how did the adult team in Nashville get going?
I think it was 2006 that Nashville really took off. That was the year that I actually learned about roller derby in Memphis. That was my original league.
You were in Memphis, and then you came here to Nashville?
Yeah, I'll be for better roller derby.
Better roller derby in Nashville.
That's literally the reason I moved.
So we're putting that on tape. Nashville's got a better roller derby than Memphis.
Done.
Okay. All right, so the league has grown, but then interruptions happen. Tell me, how did the pandemic kind of interrupt the momentum that was developing with the Nashville squad?
We did our best to stay connected with all of our league. We did meetings. We did, wellness, mental health wellness checks on people that were, they lived alone. We did our best to stay absolutely connected. Us having our first practices back at the fairgrounds outside when the pandemic numbers started to lift, that was the best part of the pandemic for me. Just coming back and seeing everybody in person.
Petty, I'm wondering, you were obviously away from the game in your community for a little while. We couldn't be. None of us could be connected because of the pandemic. Were you all secretly training? Like getting on your skates and just riding around the block and things?
Yes, definitely. Actually, where we are now, close to where we're doing this, is one of my favorite trails to skate here in Nashville, Metro Park Greenway. I was doing that almost every day during what was supposed to be lockdown. I mean, it was outdoors. I have a few other spots around Nashville that I'd love to come down to. We also did, because it was safe, we would do trail skates as a team, or we would just make sure that we stayed distanced the entire time. And some of us would use sport N95 masks while we did that, just to be extra precautious. But yeah, we definitely were still trying to do home workouts and things like that. And, keep on top.
A-Bomb, how excited were you to finally be able to get back with the members of the team?
Oh, so excited. I was so excited. You think how it's going to feel after not being able to play the sport for over a year. You think, oh, it's going to be really exciting. And it was just so much more exhilarating to be there with my teammates, to skate, to stop, to hit people when we eventually were able to. It was just so great to be back in that space and to be able to play the sport that, we all love so much.
Have you been able to talk any friends or family into taking up the sport?
When I first started playing roller derby, I was able to kind of coax my dad into being a referee for the adult league at the time. I was a junior, and they lovingly named him Daddy Daycare.
Daddy Daycare.
Yeah.
I love these names.
I know. It was so good. But yeah, I slowly but surely, it's not something you want to pressure people into or push too hard. But, I know a lot of my friends and family love to watch it for sure. It's such a good time for everybody, for the players, the fans, the volunteers.
All of our previous guests, they talk about the support that the roller derby community has for one another. Now, Princess Di, I understand that the community truly came to help you out with something rather unexpected. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. And I say my team, this is my family. There is not a single thing that I can think of that I wouldn't do for every single one of these people, these fantastic people. I feel bad for people that don't know them and don't get a chance to meet them and find this amazing sense of family that I have. So I was, due to an unfortunate situation, I was given a baby. I was actually, I fostered a 6-day-old child who I have now adopted. But I had no children. I actually had no aspirations to have children. So I knew nothing. I didn't have a crib. I didn't have clothes. None of that. Didn't know the first thing about diaper cream. I mean, nothing. These amazing people came together. They gave me a baby shower, clothes, gave me all kinds of advice every time that I had a question, which was every other day. I mean, new things happened, and these moms came together, they rallied around me and helped me keep this fantastic miracle at, her, what has developed into literally the light of my life.
Did that help you feel more comfortable in your new role as a mother?
Absolutely. I could not have done it without them.
How's your child doing today?
She is almost 4. We finalized our adoption December 12th.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. She's amazing.
Is she going to be a derby skater?
Absolutely.
Does she have skates now?
She does.
She good?
Oh, she'll tell you she is.
Awesome. Tell me, A-Bomb, what do you want people to know about roller derby here in Nashville?
Oh gosh, that we are alive and well. We are training. We are ambitious. That we want to bring this sport back into the community, and that we care about this community, and we really want to be a big part of this community. We have, in the years after, or honestly, while the COVID pandemic is still going on, we've struggled to find practice spaces. One of our practice spaces is all the way out in Lebanon, Tennessee. A lot of our skaters travel 45 minutes plus to go to practice every single, day that we have it. We practice outside. We do virtual workouts. We are here. We are committed, and we are always looking for support from our community, especially when it comes to finding a permanent home, because that would be so immense for us to be able to continue to grow our league, is if we were able to find a single space that we can practice out of, that we could host games out of. It would be so amazing. And, what we need for help from the community with is finding that.
Mm-hmm. Where can people go if they want to learn more about Nashville Roller Derby?
So we're on all the social medias, or most of the social medias, I'd say, at least Instagram and Facebook. We're definitely the most active. But then we also have a website, a beautiful website, NashvilleRollerDerby.com. You can see headshots of all the skaters, read about our league's history, our mission and vision statement, our gender inclusivity statement, our land acknowledgement statements. All that's going to be right on our website.
Mm-hmm. Okay, quick yes or no question. In 10 years, we will see roller derby on television regularly.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually already been on television before.
I need to get in the know and see that.
Yeah.
The Roller Derby Championships are on ESPN3 every year.
Okay. Well, hopefully we get to see you all there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh, yeah. I've been on that too.
Okay. Okay. Now, Petty, what are your hopes for the future of roller derby here? We just got about just a minute left.
My hopes for future roller derby is that we see roller derby in the Olympics with all of the wonderful junior roller derby skaters from Nashville that I've trained.
All right. All right. What about you, Princess Di?
I just want to see it grow. I want everyone to come and join us. Come let us hit you and then love you afterward.
Okay. Yeah, they're going to hit us up. I might be down for that. Throw myself in the ring, so to speak. Okay, I want to thank the members of Nashville Roller Derby for being with us today. They are Lex Petty LaBelle Taravingadum, Ashley A-Bomb Obel, and Ilana Princess Di Perkins. You all rock. Thank you again. And good luck to you all this season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, y'all, it's Friday, so you know what that means. It's time for me to hop out of the studio and ride shotgun with a few of our Middle Tennesseans, our fellow Middle Tennesseans. Today, I'm meeting up with the co-captains of Nashville's junior roller derby team, Bridget Davis, a.k.a. Queen Bee, and Abby Duckworth, a.k.a. Mighty Duck, and their executive director, Leah Davis, a.k.a. the Queen Mother. They got in the car and they took me around to a few of the many practice locations they've had to use over the years, as you just heard. Buckle up, y'all, and enjoy the ride.
This is a lot of fun. How's the day going, everybody?
Pretty good.
Nice.
It's gorgeous out.
I'm telling you. February.
Our team is really jammer heavy, so I do a lot of blocking because of that, but my most happy position is jamming.
Jamming.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mighty Duck?
I can do both, but I lean towards jamming.
Yeah.
What is it about jamming?
On Once the jammer breaks through the pack, she hauls ass around the track a second time and tries to score. For every player on the opposing team the jammer passes, she gets a point.
It's almost like Harry Potter trying to catch the snitch sort of thing.
Yeah, we are the snitch. Yeah.
You're the snitch. Okay. There are a lot of big-time collisions.
Mm-hmm.
How often are you guys bruised up?
24/7.
24/7. It's just a part of the sport.
Yeah, kind of.
But we don't call them bruises. We call them derby kisses.
Derby kisses. I like that. That's super tough. I know there's got to be somebody where you're like, I just love to knock them down. There's got to be one person out there.
I like to knock down boys, but that's
Hey.
just my bias.
When I saw roller derby on television, they were like clotheslining people. It was like wrestling out there.
Yeah.
And maybe it used to be like that back in the day, but obviously the sport's cleaned up for player safety. But have either of you ever had a collision that was just kind of gnarly?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
There was a girl named Tonka, and she
Like
was
the truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got pummeled, and I went across the whole room.
Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way.
Sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning, you turn on ESPN, and it's all different sports. But I have not seen roller derby.
Yep.
Why?
It's a great question. Ooh, I can get fired up about this.
Well, go ahead. Here, I strike the match. Let's do it.
Well, I mean, okay, I haven't done a lot of research recently because it would just make me so angry when I was younger, but there was one clip of some sportsman on TV being like, is roller derby really a real sport? And kind of like contemplating, kind of like how they do with cheerleading, and like, you know, I think a lot of it comes from it being a female-dominated sport and it being mainly women in the start of it, and like it's like we're at the very bottom of the pyramid and we're like, wait, like we do exist, we're real, like we are a real sport. It's not just like glam and sparkles and whatever, you know. And I think it comes from a lot of misogyny, but you know.
You put half of these cats up here who are going to question if roller derby's a real sport, and you put them out and about real quick, they're going to change their mind.
Yeah.
Their tune's going to change so fast.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the other thing that has been a real like point of contention is that the derby community is not willing to get rid of derby names.
Yep.
Okay.
And having things like derby names and, you know, wearing the makeup and the fishnets and, you know, all of that kind of stuff, like while we are playing this sport that we love is an expression of who we are as athletes and as a community, and we're not willing to give that up.
So the outfits are a little wild sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you can see somebody wearing like a Pirates patch and a tutu. Do you all wear crazy outfits?
I've recently started my collection.
For our Halloween game that we did, I got a hot pink skirt, and that was really fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've never played in a skirt before, and that was definitely a moment.
It changed my perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, wait, Khalil,
Yeah.
we did come up with a derby name for you.
Okay, yes, I was wondering.
Okay, so but you know, if you don't like it, that's okay. We can brainstorm. Yeah.
Okay,
We're
okay.
workshopping this.
Okay.
Okay, so we came up with Khalil on wheels.
Khalil on wheels.
Yeah.
Or Khalil on wheels, I get it, it rhymes. It's cool.
Oh,
It's a little bit, it is a little
Okay,
dorky,
fair.
honestly. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I'm not above it. I'm not above dorkiness. So my buddies call me the Cat Daddy.
Ooh.
That could be a roller derby name.
That could be it.
That could be a roller derby name. All right, so what are our options? Khalil on wheels, Cat Daddy, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I feel like we have to have a fourth.
Yeah, something about radio or being a
Ooh.
host.
Yeah.
Radio jammer.
Ooh, okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Radio Jammer, I like that. I like that. I like that. Do you guys have like a team chant or anything?
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3, NJRD. What? Oh, I love it. You guys, thank you. All right, you can vote on what my roller derby name should be. Head to Twitter or Instagram and choose between Khalil on Wheels, Radio Jammer, The Voice of Authority, and Cat Daddy. We want to thank everyone who tuned in this hour. This is Nashville is a production of WPLN News and Nashville Public Radio. Listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get your podcasts. Our producers are M.I. Steve-O Harouche, Guns and Rose Gilbert, and Magnolia McKay. Our digital lead is Anarchy Go-Go Cannon. Michaela Atomic Bomb Elias is our technical director. Our executive producer is Andrea Fudhope. The masterminds behind our music are Larange and Namir Blade. Special thanks to the Queen Mother and Steve Larios. The conversation doesn't end here. Tweet us at This Is Nashville. Find us on Instagram and let us know what you want from our show by filling out our quick survey online. This is Nashville. I'm Khalil A. Colonna. We'll see you next week, everybody, and be good to each other.